Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Vichaya Shota Shata Shishamachila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Śrīla Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Sirup Si Sanatan Bhatta Raghunathi Jeev Gopal Bhattadas Saraghunath Sari Goswami Prabhu ki Prem Se Gosi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Śivadari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Radha Krishna Go Gop Gop Govinacham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhana ki Vrindavan Dham ki Mathura Dham ki Maipana Dham ki Jagannathpuri Dham ki Tulsi Maharani Bhakti Devi ki Ganga Yamuna Devi ki Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki Sri Sri Gaunitai ki Sri Sri Krishna Balaram ki Sri Sri Radha Shama Sundar ki Gaur Premanande Hare Hare Bol Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We are reading from the Bhagavad-Gita as it is, second chapter, text number 12, right? Nātvevāhaṁ jātu nāsaṁ nātvam neme janādhipāḥ caiva bhaviṣyāmaḥ sarve vayam param evāhaṁ jātu nāsaṁ tvam neme janādhipāḥ caiva bhaviṣyāmaḥ sarve vayam param nātvevāhaṁ jātu nāsaṁ tvam neme janādhipāḥ caiva bhaviṣyāmaḥ sarve vayam param never, to, but, eva, certainly, aham, I, jātu, at any time, did not, āsam, exist, not, tvam, you, not, neme, all these, jana-adhipāḥ, kings, never, cha, also, eva, certainly, not, bhaviṣyāmaḥ, shall exist, sarve vayam, all of us, ataḥ param, hereafter. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Never was there a time when it did not exist. No you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. Purport. In the Vedas, in the Kaṭha Upaniṣad as well as in the Śvetāśvatara Upaniṣad, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the maintainer of innumerable living entities in terms of their different situations according to individual work and reaction of work. That Supreme Personality of Godhead is also, by His plenary portions, alive in the heart of every living entity. Only saintly persons who can see within and without the same Supreme Lord can actually attain to perfect and eternal peace. Nitya nityananam chetanas chetananam eko bahunam yovishatati kaman tam atmastam ye anupashanti dhiras tesham shanti shashyati netaresham. The same Vedic truth given to Arjuna is given to all persons in the world who pose themselves as very learned, but factually have but a poor fund of knowledge. The Lord says clearly that He Himself, Arjuna and all the kings who are assembled on the battlefield are eternal individual beings, and that the Lord is eternally the maintainer of the individual living entities, both in their conditioned and in their liberated situations. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the supreme individual person, and Arjuna, the Lord's eternal associate, and all the kings assembled there are individual eternal persons. It is not that they did not exist as individuals in the past, and it is not that they will not remain eternal persons. Their individuality existed in the past, and their individuality will continue in the future without interruption. Therefore, there is no cause for lamentation for anyone. The Mayavadi theory that after liberation the individual soul, separated by the covering of Maya illusion, will merge into the impersonal Brahman and lose its individual existence is not supported herein by Lord Krishna, the Supreme Authority. Nor is a theory that we only think of individuality in the conditioned state supported herein. Krishna clearly says herein that in the future also the individuality of the Lord and others, as it is confirmed in Upanishads, will continue eternally. The statement of Krishna's is authoritative because Krishna cannot be subject to illusion. If individuality were not a fact, then Krishna would not have stressed it so much, even for the future. The Mayavadi may argue that the individuality spoken of by Krishna is not spiritual but material. Even accepting the argument that the individuality is material, then how can one distinguish Krishna's individuality? Krishna affirms his individuality in the past and confirms his individuality in the future also. He has confirmed his individuality in many ways, and impersonal Brahman has been declared to be subordinated to him. Krishna has maintained spiritual individuality all along. If he is accepted as an ordinary conditioned soul in individual consciousness, then his Bhagavad-Gita has no value as authoritative scripture. A common man with all the four defects of human frailty is unable to teach that which is worth hearing. The Gita is above such literatures. No mundane book compares with the Bhagavad-Gita. When one accepts Krishna as an ordinary man, the Gita loses all importance. The Mayavadi argues that the plurality mentioned in this verse is conventional and that it refers to the body. But previous to this verse, such a bodily conception is already condemned. After condemning the bodily conception of the living entities, how is it possible for Krishna to place a conventional proposition on the body again? Therefore, individuality is maintained on spiritual grounds and is thus confirmed by great acharyas like Sri Ramanuja and others. It is clearly mentioned in many places in the Gita that this spiritual individuality is understood by those who are devotees of the Lord. Those who are envious of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead have no bona fide access to the great literature. The non-devotee's approach to the teachings of the Gita is something like that of a bee licking on a bottle of honey. One cannot have a taste of honey unless one opens the bottle. Similarly, the mysticism of the Bhagavad-Gita can be understood only by devotees, and no one else can taste it, as it is stated in the 4th chapter of the book. Nor can the Gita be touched by persons who envy the very existence of the Lord. Therefore, the Mayavadi explanation of the Gita is a most misleading presentation of the whole truth. Lord Chaitanya has forbidden us to read commentations made by the Mayavadis and warns that one who takes to such an understanding of the Mayavad philosophy loses all power to understand the real mystery of the Gita. If individuality refers to the empirical universe, then there is no need of teaching by the Lord. The plurality of the individual soul and the Lord is an eternal fact. And it is confirmed by the Vedas as above mentioned. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakasodan Militam Yanam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yata Padakamalan Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sirupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dīnabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastade Datta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna, in the beginning of the 2nd chapter now, is trying to tell Arjuna, explain to Arjuna about the individuality of the living entity being eternal, the living entity being completely separate from the gross and material body, the living entity being eternally connected to the Supreme Being, to Krishna. That is the first step in self-realization. To understand that we are not this body, that we are spirit soul. And then to understand that we have an eternal relationship with Krishna, the Supreme Being. So knowing this, which is known as Sambandha Gyan, understanding one's relationship with Krishna, Sambandha, understanding that actually you belong to the spiritual realm, not to the material world. So knowledge is important. Spiritual knowledge is very important. And in a human form of life, one has to take shelter of the spiritual master, one has to take shelter of the devotees who are advanced in spiritual understanding. One has to take shelter of the process of devotional service. In the age of Kali, it is the chanting of the holy names which is foremost. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then one has to practically engage in devotional activities under the guidance of the spiritual master. The spiritual master is established in the absolute truth. The spiritual master is a confidential devotee, confidential associate of the Lord, of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of Sisi Radha Shyama Sundar. So by His mercy we can be engaged in devotional activities according to our nature also. The spiritual master is expert in quickly understanding the spiritual nature of the living entity, but also even in a conditioned state. So one has to be properly engaged according to one's psychophysical nature. And then one can more easily be properly engaged, and one can be satisfied while performing one's duty. So here Prabhupada is quoting a famous verse from the scriptures, Nitya Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam, explaining about the eternal nature of the Jivatma, of the spirit soul, but also of the Supreme Lord. And also speaking about the consciousness that by nature, so one is not only eternal, but one is conscious, Sat Chit. And by nature also, by spiritual nature, Anand, transcendental bliss is there, if you are properly situated. And then what is also important, under the point here also, the individuality. So not only the Krishna exists, but he's saying that you, speaking to Arjuna, but all the kings. So we all existed in the past, we are existing now, and will exist in the future. Whereas the Mayavadis, as Prabhupada is also mentioning, they may understand that beyond this material body there is spirit. But then their understanding is that if one is highly advanced, then one will merge in the absolute truth. But that is erroneous understanding. But a proper understanding is that this individuality is there, and we have to try to realize that. And then one is to engage in practical devotional service, abhideya gyan, under the guidance of the expert spiritual master, the advanced devotees. Then one is properly engaged, and then one can slowly but surely advance in spiritual life. So it is a gradual process. So different stages are there of spiritual understanding. of realization. So first, jnana is there, knowledge, but then we should also realize. Vijnana should be there, practical realization of our spiritual nature and of the transcendental form of the absolute truth. So practical engagement has to be there so that practical realization be there. And then eventually one will come to the highest stage when one is cleansed of all misgivings, of all inebrities, of all contaminations. Then one will practically not only realize one's spiritual nature, but one will be able to positively be engaged in spiritual activities and then ultimately engage in the transcendental loving exchange with Krishna. Prayojan, that is the necessity, that is a requirement, that is the ultimate goal. Love for Krishna is there already in the heart. The jiva is situated in the heart region, in the body, floating in the 5 airs, pran. So the transcendental form is already there, but it is not developed. It is in a seed-like form. It is in a dormant state. Just like you may have a mango seed, you put it in the ground, and you give water, and then it will sprout, and then it will grow, and then you have to fence it, make sure that no mad elephant is trampling on that, or some other animal. And then it will grow more and more and more, and then the fruit is coming. The mango. So from the mango seed, inside the mango seed, so practically you can say that the mango tree is there, and the fruits will be there, but it has to manifest. So by adopting the process of giving water and then taking care of the plant until it is big and then it is grown, to become a big tree, of course it takes many years. For the mango tree maybe at least 10 or 15 years till the tree is big and the fruits are coming. Of course, if you have a garden, then you have to be careful that no monkeys are stealing, or a person. And sometimes even children, they will go and try to get some mangoes from a tree, from a garden. So similarly, so we have to see that we can, and by the process of hearing and chanting, that is considered like watering the seed, and then it will grow. It will grow and more and more and more. But then one has to be careful and not commit any offense while performing devotional service. One has to be careful that one will not be disturbed by others, so that it may grow properly. And then the fruit will be there. And it is love of Godhead. So everything is there, but it has to manifest. It will manifest in due course of time. When the sadhaka, the practicing devotee, is engaging in devotional activities under the guidance of the spiritual master, then the consciousness is purified and one gains positive knowledge, and then the more the heart is purified, then the more one's transcendental existence will manifest. And then love automatically will manifest, love for Krishna. And ultimately this practical realization of one's form, Satchidananda Sarup, one's eternal form which is full of bliss and knowledge. And simultaneously, so then we will realize and we will have practical revelation will be there of Krishna's wonderful form. Tribang Lalit Chamasundar, his form bent in three places. Sikhi Pichi Dara, holding, having a peacock feather in his hair, or the crown or the turban. Murlidhar is holding the flute. Pitambar Vesh, she has a beautiful yellow dhoti and yellow chadar. And he is surrounded by his associates. After taking breakfast, he is surrounded by the friends, by the cows and the calves. And at noon time he goes to meet the gopis at Radhakund and is surrounded by them. Kasturi tilakam lalatapatale vaksastale kaustavam nasagre varamuktitam karatale venukankanam sarvanga harichandanam saritam kante samuktavali gopastri pariveshtito vijayate gopala churamini. So all glories to the crest jewel, to the most wonderful transcendental gop, cowboy. Gopastri parivestito, he is surrounded by the gopis. So Krishna is playing the flute, and then the gopis are coming. At night time they are leaving everything and they are meeting Krishna, who is calling them. And so he has beautiful tilak, kasturi tilakam on the forehead, made by chandan, made with chandan, and then the musk of the deer, which is very fragrant. Although Krishna's transcendental body is already fragrant by nature, but then the musk is enhancing the fragrance of Krishna's transcendental body to some extent. And on the chest he has a beautiful kaustuba mani, a locket with the calves imprint is there, or sometimes he has a locket which is closed and a picture of Radharani is inside. Nasagre varamuktitam, on the tip of his nose, and the nose is considered very soft and beautiful like a sesame flower. And then so the white pearl is there in front, with a little gold ring is there, so it is attached to the tip of the nose, and then the pearl is attached to that. And then he has beautiful earrings, kundal, kangan, bangles, and holding and playing the flute. And playing the flute is enchanting the whole universe actually, all the Brijabasis. So, but even when he's playing the flute, so those who are very fortunate, they are wherever they are. If they are devotees, they can hear Krishna playing the flute. And he is adorned with a beautiful pearl necklace also, and a Vajanti mala, garland made of 5 different kinds of forest flowers, and sometimes also the tulsi, manjaris and the tulsi leaves are also put in the garland, adding to its beauty and its fragrance. And then the gopis, when it is warm, or Mother Yashoda is applying some chandan on the forehead, on the body of Krishna, when it is a little warm. So Krishna remains cool. And then he has ankle nupur, ankle bracelets with little bells. And sometimes he has a cloth around the waist, a sash. Also there, So the belt is there, and then also some small bells may be there. And sometimes flower ornaments are there also, which are very dear to Krishna. So Krishna actually, so he's a gopi, he's a cowboy roaming in the forest. So he likes all the different flowers. And the ornaments made by the gopis, even they are more dear to him than the jeweled necklaces or golden earrings. But if the gopis are making very delicate earrings or necklace or around the neck called a choker with flowers, small flowers, or sometimes the beads of the gunja plant. There's a gunja plant. It looks like the beans, and you take out the small beads. Looks like peas but a little smaller, and they're reddish, orange, reddish, white and black. And then when they're fresh, they're a little bigger and soft. And when you take them, and then the gopis are making a small garland also, gunjamala. That is also put around their neck, and that is very dear to Krishna. And sometimes they use the small berries, and they also put them in the flower ornaments, the flower earrings, or in the turban also. And sometimes they make mukut, flower mukut, or a flower dress. And so that is very pleasing to Krishna. So in this way, so the devotees who are absorbed in devotional service, and they are serving Krishna, they are hearing about Krishna, and then they can practically realize Krishna's form, and they can see Krishna face to face. They can talk to Krishna also, or Krishna is talking to them. Krishna is smiling at them. So that is the loving exchange, that is the goal of life. So for that purpose, actually deity worship is very important. One learns to see Krishna, to serve Krishna, to speak with Krishna. If you have some difficulty, we can reveal our mind to Krishna. And then Krishna is reciprocating. So by doing this constantly, by chanting the holy names, by hearing about Krishna's wonderful qualities and pastimes and associates, then while chanting the holy names, then Krishna Nam, Krishna Roop, Krishna Gun, and Krishna Lila, they become one. The advanced devotees, when they are chanting, Krishna will manifest. And then Krishna's wonderful, so Krishna manifest means Krishna's form will manifest and his qualities. And then his pastimes will manifest. So that is the goal of life, to practically realize Krishna's beautiful form and realize our individuality, a spirit soul having a transcendental body, transcendental form, and then engage in the loving relationship with Krishna. So we must have faith in Krishna, in Krishna's words, and in the process of devotional service. In the beginning, so the faith may be there, but if you are not engaging in devotional service, if you are not in the association of the advanced devotees, and then the faith will not be very strong. The faith will not be mature. So therefore one has to be in the association of the advanced devotees, and one has to engage in devotional service. And then actually the faith will be more strong, and then will be unshakable. Because then the practical realization will be there. And then nothing can check the progress of the devotee who is fixed. Despite all difficulties, he will continue serving. He will be continuing in his loving exchange with Krishna. And then he can overcome all difficulties. So one has to try to go deep into that subject matter. Purport is referring to the non-devotees and their spiritual approach. So they have maybe some knowledge, they will understand maybe we are not this body, we are spirit soul. Like the Mayavadis or even some others who are studying the Vedic literatures, and they may have only some faith, but not full faith, not full understanding, and they are not properly engaged. Then they may realize something little, they may get some pleasure from engaging in so-called spiritual activities, but they cannot, as Purport is writing, like the bee, if there is a honey bottle, sometimes because the devotees, they open it, they offer to Krishna, close it, sometimes little honey is there. And so that the bee may go there and can lick that honey, but there's only a little bit there. So, but if then a person or devotee is opening the honey bottle, then the bee can go inside and then can taste the honey. So, and we should be actually bee-like. So, also Chanakya Pandit has explained, we have to be always very positive in our consciousness, in our outlook, in our understanding, and respect everyone. And just like the bee is going from one flower to another flower, taking the pollen, so we should also see all the devotees and the good qualities of the devotees. So we should be bee-like, and then also the bee. So usually, even in Krishna's pastimes, the bees are there, and it is explained when Krishna is walking, then the bees are there also humming, and they are very much attracted to the lotus face of Krishna, or the beautiful black hair, or the lotus feet of the Lord, which are very sweet, like lotus flower. So devotee should be very positive always, see the good qualities in others, be respectful, and try to go and get the nectar by following the process properly and in the association of the devotees who are more advanced. Like we say, we are living in Vrindavan, but there's a covering of the holy dham. If one is not completely absorbed in spiritual activities, and then one is actually not in Vrindavan but on Vrindavan. Like if you see around, so sometimes people come and they say, oh, Vrindavan is so dirty. So externally speaking, maybe so. But if you have the proper consciousness, if you try to see the good in everyone and everywhere and see the spirit rather than the matter, in the association of the devotees who are describing about Krishna's wonderful form and qualities and pastimes, when we are hearing, then we can enter into Chinmay Vrindavan, into transcendental Vrindavan, where the ground is like touchstone and the trees are wish-fulfilling trees, and walking is like dancing, and speaking is like singing. So if you are absorbed in Krishna and Krishna's wonderful pastimes, then we are actually in Vrindavan. But if one is even coming here to Vrindavan but is not absorbed, and then like the flies, they are going to wherever there is a wound, we may see it, and the flies may be attracted to that. If one is attracted to seeing the faults in other, then one is not able to enter into Vrindavan. So we should try to be properly situated on the transcendental plane and absorbed in positive devotional service, anukul bhav, so favorably engage in devotional service and with the proper mood, proper mentality, proper consciousness. And then we can be in Vrindavan, and then we can taste the nectar and the loving exchange with Krishna. When one can swim in the ocean of transcendental love, Prem Sagar, so which is sweet as nectar. Radha Rasa Shuddhanidhi, and in Braj especially we should take shelter of the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani, because she is the foremost of the servants of Krishna, of the associates of Krishna, of the gopis of Krishna. She is most expert in giving pleasure to Krishna. So if we take shelter in Srimati Radharani, then we can hope to be able to serve Krishna, to serve the divine couple, and be properly situated and feel transcendental pleasure at every step. So, but it is a gradual process, and first of all one has to be properly situated, following rules and regulations, and then one has to be in good association, and then one may slowly but surely in purified consciousness come to the spontaneous platform when one is spontaneously serving Krishna, and then there's a wonderful loving exchange with Krishna, and it is actually so the goal of life, and that is the proper situation when one is realizing Krishna's beautiful form and one's own transcendental form, and understanding also, of course, the difference between Krishna and the jiva is there always. Although Krishna is eternal, we are eternal. Krishna is conscious, we are conscious. Krishna has knowledge, we have knowledge. And Krishna is experiencing bliss and we are experiencing bliss. But there's a vast difference between Krishna and ourselves. Krishna is Vibhu, is great, is unlimited. And we are infinitesimal, Anu, very small. We have the same nature, but we are tiny, infinitesimal, whereas Krishna is completely transcendental. And Krishna is unlimited. So studying the Bhagavad-Gita, that is as explained by Krishna, or by then of course Prabhupada, the Acharyas, that is very much necessary so that we may have practical realization of one's spiritual identity, so that we can appreciate Krishna as the Supreme Person and we as the servants of Krishna. And then we go further in the studies by studying the Srimad Bhagavatam, and then coming to the 10th canto, as we are studying now in the class in the morning, Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, which is the summum bonum. It is the essence of the Srimad Bhagavatam, because there the descriptions of Krishna's pastimes are there. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of everything. Swayam Bhagavan, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then, even in order to properly and better understand Krishna and especially then the loving sentiments of the Brijavasis, and then especially the gopis also, then we may study the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada has explained first the Bhagavad-Gita, and then Srimad Bhagavatam, and then Chaitanya Charitamrita. And therefore now in the temple also every Monday there's a reading of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, because that we have to study also eventually, so we may understand the deeper meanings of of the transcendental literature, the Bhagavad-Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. So by the mercy of Mahaprabhu, by hearing about his wonderful qualities, his transcendental nature and his wonderful pastimes, and then we can better appreciate, better understand Krishna's pastimes by Mahaprabhu's mercy, by the mercy of his associates, and then we can more quickly become perfect in our spiritual understanding, in the practical realization of Krishna's form and then our transcendental nature. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Any question? Everything clear, right? Okay, no question? Yes?
If Krishna is so attractive, why did we leave Krishna?
If Krishna is so attractive, why did we leave Krishna? Actually, in Golok, the gopis, the cowherd, the friends of Krishna, even the animals, they will never leave Krishna. They will never leave Krishna. How they can leave? They cannot leave Krishna. It's so beautiful. It's not possible to leave Krishna. But then the question is then how we are here in this material world, right? Well, according to the scriptures, even Krishna is explaining Bhagavad-Gita 15 chapters. At the end of the 15th chapter, of course in the middle is explaining Mamaivam Sajivaloke Jivaputa Sanatana. Yeah, that the living entities are part and parcels of me. But then towards the end of the 15th chapter is explaining clearly that is the Supreme Lord and that Purushottam is called Purushottam Yoga, also connecting with Purushottam, the Supreme Being, Uttam Purush, Purushottam. And it is explaining that two jivas, Kshara and Akshara, infallible and fallible, those who are never falling down and those who are falling. So the Nitya Siddha Parikara, they are the eternal associates of Krishna. Madhya Yashoda, Lalita Vishaka, Srimati Radharani, Sudam, Sridam, Vasudam. And Krishna's very dear cows, they will never fall. They're Nitya Siddha. They're always serving Krishna. They were always serving Krishna. They're always serving Krishna. They will always serve Krishna. They will never fall down. Not possible that they will fall down. Now there is a category of living entities, also eternal servants of Krishna, and but they are known as Nitya Bada, Anadi Bada. Since time immemorial they are conditioned, but also servants of Krishna by nature, but they are not yet actively engaged in service to Krishna. But it is the nature, and it is already there, the Swarup is there, but it is in seed-like form. And they are not yet serving Krishna. So the spiritual world is always there, and the eternal associates are always there serving Krishna. But then, and even the material world is not always manifest. Only sometimes it is manifest. Of course, when it is manifest to us, it is unlimited time. Such a long time. Brahma's one day, Sahasra Yuga Pariyantam. The Kali Yuga, which is 432,000 years, and the double of it, the Dvapara Yuga, 3 times is Treta Yuga, 4 times is Satya Yuga. So altogether maybe 4 million and something, some 100,000 years. That is one Dibya Yuga, 4 million years, and then 1,000 times, that is 4 billion years. That is one day of Brahman. Such is also his night, and he lives also 100 years. So it's such a long time. So, but then at the end of the manifestation, and everything becomes unmanifested. It is known as pradhan, the unmanifested matter. It is there in the spiritual realm, but then when Krishna desires, then it becomes manifest, pradhan, and it becomes the material world, and then Mahavishnu is lying there, and then so many universes are coming, and then Gauravaksha Vishnu is manifested, and then from his lotus navel, lotus flower comes, and the lotus flower is the abode of Lord Brahma, and then so many living entities, they get the body. And then they can, by the mercy of the Lord, He is coming Himself or sending His representatives in the Vedic literatures. They can come to understand that they are not this body, they are spirit soul. And then they can come to understand that actually they have a relationship with Krishna, and then they can develop themselves. But when it is not manifest in the material world, they are in a dormant state. So in Krishna's unlimited spiritual sky, or you may even say in Krishna's body. So, and the Brahmajyoti is the effulgence of Krishna, and that is all pervading in the spiritual sky, and the unlimited planets there. So, and actually unlimited jivas there, where they are in dormant state, just like you have the sunshine, which is made with so many particles. So then the jivas are there, but they are in dormant state. They're conditioned since time immemorial. So their spiritual form is there, but it is in dormant state, seed-like form. So they are there, you can say with Krishna, but they are not serving Krishna, because they are in the dormant state. But then when the material world is manifested, then they have the opportunity to realize their form. And then once they realize their form, they go to Golok Vrindavan as a gopi or gopa, or as a parrot or whatever. Then they are in the loving exchange with Krishna, and then they will never come to this material world. And Krishna is saying, once you go there, you never come back. Or if you come back with Krishna, but then you will not be on the modes of material nature, you never fall down again. Like Krishna is Achyut, He will never fall down. Similarly, those who are liberated, they will not fall down. It is not possible. If you are in relationship with Krishna, a wonderful relationship is there with Krishna. Krishna is so sweet. So then they will not fall down, not possible. That is according to Bhagavad-Gita, is according to the previous acharyas. So that's what I have understood. For me it is very clear. Maybe for others it is not so clear, but what can we do? Maybe somebody else has another opinion, what to do? Even the Mayavadis, they have their opinion, okay, to some extent they may be all right. They will say we will merge in the absolute truth after giving up this existence, when we are perfect. And they will merge in the Brahmajyoti, that is okay, they will merge with the Supreme Lord, but they will actually not lose their identity. They will be there, and again for millions and trillions of years they will be there till the next material world is manifested, and then they may come down again here. Arucha Kritchena, it is mentioned also in the Bhagavatam, 10th canto. Those who neglect the service of the lotus feet of Krishna, they may go to the spiritual world, to the Brahmajyoti, but then they are like before, in conditioned state, not serving. But then they may fall down again to this material world, and then they may get another chance. Because Krishna is very merciful, and there's no, like the Christians say, even sometimes, if one is not serving Krishna, one will go to hell, and one will be there constantly, permanently in hell. But there's nothing like that. There's a hell also for the people who are sinful, and they will be punished for sinful activities. But then after some time they will be also again freed from that hellish condition. But then even so, merging in the Brahmajyoti, Krishna's effulgence, it is that is not the real goal. So it is all only partial kind of, it is a liberation from the material existence. It is a liberation from material existence, from material suffering, from hellish suffering. But it is not the actual position. So, but many people, they think like this. We'll become one. So many people have their opinions. But as far as I have read the scriptures and understood, so it is quite clear. The position of the jiva, those who are eternally liberated and those who are conditioned since time immemorial. But the nature is also that the eternal servants of Krishna, Jivera Sopoi Krishnera Nityadas. Everyone is eternal servant of Krishna by nature. But they are not engaged in its service. So in the conditioned, spiritually conditioned state, they are not engaged in its service. So anyhow, that is a subject matter which of course we may try to understand and explain that, but the main thing is that we have to be engaged in devotional service, and then things may become clear. So in due course of time. And yeah, so we don't have to debate on that point. Hare Krishna. Is that all right? Anything else? Yes.
Regarding this Mataji's question,
yes.
As long as we understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so Krishna is the Supreme Goal.
Yes.
We engage in devotional service, we fix our mind in the lotus feet of Krishna.
Yes.
We cannot leave Krishna. On the contrary, if we do not follow the instruction, then definitely it is not possible to keep our attachment with Krishna.
Yes. Yeah, already now in our state, so we are in devotional service, although we may be struggling, but we know what is the goal, and we'll try to achieve the goal. Even though the mind is sometimes flickering and still attracted to material things, but then we know it is actually all useless. And even though sometimes, okay, we try to serve Krishna, we try to control the senses, and the nice plate of Mahaprasad is there, and then Rasgula, Rasmalai, and then okay, 1, 2, 3, eating nicely, oh, I ate too much then, what to do? But then we'll continue, and then we know I ate a little bit too much, what to do is just, yeah, I'm still conditioned. So it may be there, but one will not give up devotional service, one will continue, because one will get a taste. And once one has this taste, then everything else is secondary. In material things, even then, okay, mobile, what is it, Samsung 12, Samsung 13, now Samsung 22 maybe, the latest, or something. The one, another one, and so if one is not completely attracted to Krishna, will be some attracted to this material world. But we know that actually it is just temporary, and it's not the real bliss, the material things. Even as a devotee we know. And we try to become free from that attachment. And we will never give up the devotional service, because we get some taste and we know there's a real thing. But if you're not yet pure, then there's a possibility then we are, for some time, we are deviated for a little while. And so if you are not attaining perfection this lifetime, you will have to take birth again. And then we can continue. But there's no loss or diminution if once you take up the path, and Krishna will always help till we are perfect. And once you're perfect, then you will be with Krishna always, and then you will never be under the modes of material nature. The pure devotee is always protected. But even he can feel the material energy, like Prabhupada. One time he was taking darshan of the deities and tears were coming from his eyes. After the darshan, devotee was asking, Prabhupada, why you were crying? Prabhupada was saying, because Maya is so strong. Therefore I was crying and praying to Krishna, please protect me. But the pure devotee will never fall down, because he is protected by Krishna. And his determination is so strong, his love is there for Krishna, that he will never give up. But he may feel also material energy. When it is cold, he will have also cloth, because it's cold. It's not that he doesn't feel anything of this world, but he's tolerating, and he has a strong determination that I will always serve Krishna, no matter what. Haridas Thakur was beaten in 22 marketplaces. Any normal being would have died, but he was just simply chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And Mahaprabhu protected him. Therefore he was able to tolerate. Later on in Mahabhav Prakash, when he was first showing that is the Supreme Lord actually, then he was reciprocating with the devotees, and he was telling the devotees, like he told Haridas Thakur, and you remember, you were beating in the 22 marketplaces, and you were feeling some problem there when they were beating you, but I protected you. Therefore you could remain alive. And he showed, he turned around, showed his back. And the devotees could see, Haridas Thakur could see, so many marks are there. Because he took the beating, which he gave to Haridas Thakur. So he protected him directly. So Krishna is very merciful and is protecting his devotees. Just like the father and mother, if the child is there, the father and mother are always there protecting the child. Making sure that the child doesn't beginning to walk, and then the father and mother are helping and making sure that the child is not falling or not going astray. And so they're always there to protect the child. So Krishna is the Supreme Father. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Pranadhan. As like a father, is better than any father, better than any mother. Is the Lord and is the life of the devotees. So Krishna is always protecting his devotees, helping his devotees. So if we are sincerely engaged, then we are always protected. So Prabhupada is writing many times of saying, if you take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, you will never fall down. Even as sadhaka, what to speak if you are liberated? You will never fall down. Not possible. So Krishna is saying also Bhagavad-Gita, two kinds of living attitude. Those who are infallible, that means they will never fall down, not possible. And others who are in a conditioned state, so when they are not yet engaged in the service of the Lord, when they are not engaged in remembering the lotus feet of the Lord, then they can fall down. But those who are remembering the lotus feet of Krishna, they will never fall down. Very clearly mentioned. Hare Krishna.